Hello and welcome to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel. Yes, we are reviewing the racing this week in our Tuesday video where we previewed the Cheltenham November Meeting. And we're here at Sunday night. I'm still in my shirt from the races and we're reviewing the action. We had some brilliant horses, some great horses to follow, some great horses to hopefully, fingers crossed, keep on the side of going throughout the season. Of course, the Only Fools Love Horses lads had a banging Saturday. Didn't we, gentlemen? I'll bring you all in. We had a fantastic Saturday. We backed all the winners. Fantastic, wasn't it, Lee?
Yeah, it was cracking. It was good to get a good few price ones as well. A couple of 13-2s. You had a massive forecast. I think it was nearly 85-1 or something like that. So no, it was good. And my guest as well, Pete Task at Risk for Rewards. He provided plenty of winners as well. So we had a cracking day.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I backed the forecast. I didn't, but I backed each way. Harry, you know, it was a good day yesterday. Of course, you were on Nina the Terrier the nap today, and that was a creditable fifth mind. And the least we talked about the Greatwood, the least we talked about the Greatwood, the better, because I was dejected after Jim Coco. But it was a cracking weekend's action.
Oh, it was superb, Ash. And you know what? This weekend, despite the complaints about the low sun, the small fields, this weekend, I mean, the vibe I got at Cheltenham, it really felt like it was good to be back home, and it felt like the season had really kicked on. I don't know whether you felt like that, but just for me and personally, the vibe I got from everyone was so happy to be there. And backing a win is obviously the best thing in the world, but being around everyone who's enjoying themselves, and listen, I thought it was superb. And yeah, I just love racing at Cheltenham. You just can't beat it, can you, Ash? You can't beat it.
No, it was a great vibe. I think I saw you on the Friday, and you were in a jolly form. I don't know whether that was usual or whether that was because you're about 9 pints deep, but you were very jolly at least. And you know, it was great to be back at Cheltenham. I think they had a 58,000 there across the 3 days, a little bit down from last year, but it still felt busy. And it was great to watch the Paddy Power meeting, and the highlight race of the weekend was the Paddy Power, seamless into that. Galore for Jamie Snowden won. I'm pretty sure you backed it, Lee, didn't you?
I did. Not for the day it was. No, we actually do a video on a Tuesday so people can watch them, but I did put Gallo up on Tuesday to win the main race, the Paddy Power. Look, everything went wrong, I think, for the horse, and it still managed to win. I seen the racing blagger, as I like to call him. He did say that French Dynamite, if he had jumped the last, he would have won. Look, Gallo produced a bunny hop at the last. Never got a good trip round. Come wide, nearly tipped over when Cool Cody fell. And look, I just think it's one with plenty in hand, well handicapped. And a good ride, strong ride as well. Look, it had to be booted into a few the fences, but come home well and blew that Dynamite up.
Yeah, no, I have to agree on that point. There's a few people saying French Dynamite could have won that race if it jumped the last. I was speaking to Johnny Burke, and he said he didn't jump the final two with the fences, and he said that if he actually jumped those two, he'd have probably been leading over the last and won quite easily. So I think the horse had a worse run potentially than French Dynamite, and definitely the deserved winner.
I think people focus on their bets, so they didn't actually see the run of Gallo. If you're on French Dynamite, of course you're going to think you're unlucky, but there's no chance. Look, he had the worst trip. He was just the best handicapped, and he come home well. I think he'll go on maybe to the December meeting. Look, when you look back at the festival, that 2.5 mile race that they've took out, the one that Galvin was second, I can't remember what won the race, but it was a few years back.
The novice handicap chase.
Yeah, so that race
get that back in. Get that back in.
I know, like stuff like that. I used to love them type of races. You could really get stuck into one of the price. But I don't know where it'll go at the festival, but I think it will come back at the December meeting.
I think that's more of a case for a 5-day festival, lads. Get the novice handicap chasing. As Oliver Sherwood said, get a listed mare's bumper in there. We've got a perfect 5-day festival.
No chance.
Harry, you know, Gallo, the winner, was off the bridle, come round the bend. It didn't really look like he was going to win for a couple of strides, and he just jumped the second last. He loomed down the outside, and he finally got up on the line. Do you think that maybe this is a horse that can be backed next time out? Do you think potentially, well, it depends what the handicapper does to him, he could be on still a nice mark for something like a 2.5 mile Caspian Caviar at the December meeting?
Well, don't get me wrong. This horse, like he hit the second, like smashed it. I mean, he was hampered going just on the first circuit. And listen, he's won with any amount in hand in my eyes. There's no way that mark of 142 was it was so lenient. I mean,
yeah,
I just think that there was so much this horse did wrong and did everything not to win and still won comfortably in my eyes. This horse was 3 lengths down at the last. And like you said, Ash, if he'd have jumped the last 2, he'd have probably won by 13 lengths. That's just how easy I thought this horse had under his bonnet. I thought he absolutely fairly bolted in. I thought it was good to see Cool Cody okay after the race. He absolutely smashed the fence. And
get Cool Cody in there, yeah.
You've got. I'm glad because he is an old lad now. He's 11 years old. No. He's a legend of the game. And Evan Williams posted a tweet the next morning, this morning actually, saying he was all good. The only worry I had was Stolen Silver. He was found out to be lame after the race. I hope he's okay. But no, going back to Galore, don't take anything away from this winner because he was the best horse in the race by a mile. He's won with any amount.
How much do you think they'll put him up by?
Well, I don't think they can put him up silly amounts because he's only won technically by 3/4 of a length.
£6 maybe.
I think £6. Yeah, I think
£6 is, I think, fair enough because I think this horse is easily a 150 horse, and then you've got a couple of pounds to go off. Then I think he's a really good, he's a really solid horse. And listen, Jamie Snowden had a brilliant weekend, and so did Jonathan Burke. I mean, I'm sure we'll get on to obviously some of the horses he rode, but listen, it was a fantastic performance. I thought
as well.
Sorry, Lee. I would take one out of the race. I would definitely take one out of the race. Midnight River for the Skeltons. I thought he shaped with loads of promise.
Did he finish third in the end?
Third, and he was only beaten 3 lengths.
He done well.
Yeah, the thing is, with the Skelton horses, they usually do. Spirit of the Games is one. Usually is out the back of the TV and finishes close. And I think Midnight River is certainly one to take out. But don't take anything wrong because the Irish really fancied their horse that day. And listen, I'm glad it stayed here because Galore absolutely fairly bolted him.
With Galore, you could have had the bounce factor coming into it as well. And handling the track. It's never been to the track before. So there's two big factors in there. And look, I definitely think he'll handle that extra, like whatever he goes up £6 maybe. He might even get more bit tax on that. But I just think he definitely won with plenty in hand.
Yeah, no, I thought he won. He well. I wouldn't be, getting the wheelbarrow out for next time to back him again. I thought, he came off the bridle early. He obviously lacked a little bit in the jumping department. Still getting over them fine, but it wasn't exactly clearing them over. I'd just like to see how the handicapper treats him. And if he went for something like the Caspian Caviar, I wouldn't actually be lining up to back him. I maybe would just leave him on the side again, see how he deals with the rise. But I did agree with Harry there, Midnight River. I'd be surprised if it goes up, maybe goes up £1 or so. Looked to be really honest at the finish, head down, really trying, and stayed on into third. I'd be surprised if that gets changed on the handicap mark, and that could be one to watch going forward.
I'd just say another thing, Ash, just bear with me. Obviously, with the December meeting we've got coming up, we're going to have obviously the race that Cool Cody won last season, and I can see. Well, obviously Cool Cody will be there. It's just inevitable. The horse will go there if he's okay. But Galore, if you fancy that horse for that race, I can see him running another big race in that race. So, the thing is, most of these horses in that race are going to go to the race in December.
It's because there's so many. They've got that race. They've got the race on New Year's Day. They've got the race on Trials Day. And they've got the plate. It's always these 2.5 milers, which Cool Cody ran in last season, and there's so many horses that ran in them multiple times. I think if Cool Cody goes in December, we may as well touch this because I know you're a big fan, Harry. I'm not. Again, I think it's going to be the same case. He won't. I think it's got to get round. I don't think he's going to be winning off that mark, and I think the day is going to be the festival. If he gets there in one piece and he gets down to a lower mark, I think they are going to be looking at the festival already for this lad.
Well, if he gets in the 140s, Ash, if he gets into the 140s by March, he is.
Don't you dare say. Don't.
I'm not going to say a good thing, but
look, you can't keep winning these handicaps and then expect to win at the festival. Though you have to come down a few pounds to then get handicapped. I'm not saying horses do that or trainers do that, but look, you've got to still run them to then get your mark down.
No, definitely, and I want to move on before Harry goes on another rant. And we'll move on to the other feature race of the weekend, the Greatwood Hurdle. We watched it today as won by I Like to Move It. I was in absolute just despair, just turmoil because Jin Coco, I thought I was collecting coming down the hill. Harry, he travelled well into the race, but just got beaten by the better horse. And I was actually really impressed by the winner here. Were you similarly impressed?
I was off 12 stone as well, Ash. I think it's a really good good performance. And listen, regardless of the I think they jumped 5 in the end. Was it 5 that they jumped?
Oh, yeah, we'll get onto that later, but we'll carry on.
Yeah, they jumped 5 hurdles, but regardless, to carry 12 stone up that hill is and he went again because Jin Coco was travelling all over him, and he went again. And there's no better man you want in the plate than Sam Twiston Davis in a finish. He is a bull, an absolute bull. And I will touch on Nina the Terrier. She came there with her challenge. She did. She travelled like a dream. I thought Jin Coco came absolutely all over the pair of them, and I thought, well, how far is this Jin Coco going to win? Like how many pounds has he got in handy? And I still think he is well in.
So do I.
Yeah, I don't think it helped with the hurdles being omitted as well, because I think he was gaining ground. He jumped like a buck as well the whole way around. And listen, he's relatively lightly raced as well, isn't he, Ash? So yeah. I think this race like last year, there's going to be horses in there that are going to come out and win races left, right, and centre. So
no,
take a pick.
Definitely, Jin Coco. I thought he's definitely going to be one to keep on side. What the ground is going to be like for him going for the rest of the season will be a question mark. I'd be surprised if he's going on this deep ground. He travelled really smoothly into the race. He was in the back 4, going down the back straight, travelled like a dream down the hill, and just got caught out. Lee, this winner, I Like to Move It. He's going to be going to the international hurdle. Sam Twiston Davis told me that earlier. I could see him being a real big player. I was really impressed off 12 stone. I mean, he's only one off a mark in the low 140s, and to be top weight in the Greatwood off the low 140s, it maybe shows the quality isn't there this year, but he still has to carry 12 stone that easily, and he's won fairly well. I have to give it to him. He's won fairly well. How could you see him going in something like an international hurdle potentially?
Yeah, I think it depends what goes, but I do think he'll go well at a price. He had won a couple of Cheltenham races last season. He was actually behind like the likes of John Bonn and I think Nappers Hill and stuff at Ascot. He actually ran in the Champion Bump as well. Look, he's a strong stayer at the trip. I think he might want a bit juice in the ground. But look, there's no better man, like Harry said, Sam Twiston Davis. I just absolutely love him. If I could have a stable jockey, it would definitely be him. I would choose all day long over hurdles, fences for National Hunt. He just boots them into him. He makes their mind up. And look, it was a die-hard ride. I really loved it. And look, our lad, we did put Jin Coco up the other day, 10s, 11s, got smashed in. It ended up going our favourite, did it?
4-1.
Yeah, 4-1 as well.
Yeah, look, well backed. Clearly well handicapped, just found one on the day. Yeah, depends what goes to the international, but I can definitely see him running well. I like to move it because obviously it's got plenty of course form.
Yeah, no, definitely. But also, potentially the biggest talking point from the race was the doled off hurdles. Lads, ITV Racing didn't exactly pull their punches. Richard Hoyles said it was bizarre. Sometimes we don't help ourselves. Ruby Walsh said that common sense seems to have gone out the window here. And I kind of have to agree on this to an extent. But Harry, obviously horse welfare has to be number one priority. That is, no one's doubting that. But the fact that they're doling off these hurdles like minutes before the race, I think Racing TV actually went split screen for the Greatwood Hurdle, this feature race we have at the Cheltenham Racecourse. They went split screen for it because they doled off these hurdles late on. There's a big issue here, but it's about how they deal with this and how they change it. First of all, what do you make of the doling off the hurdles and just what they can potentially do going forward this?
Now, if you look at it on paper, Ash, low sun is an issue. It is an issue for horses because horses can't. It's not safe. So on that aspect of things, I completely agree with the prioritising the safety of the horses and the jockey's welfare as well, because it's their life on the line at the end of the day as well. And if they can't see going into a hurdle, they're going at 35 clicks.
It's the shadow as well. If you sort of like, it's the shadow coming off the hurdle, and the horse welfare has to be number one priority.
Precisely, and I completely understand with that. I seen a fascinating point on Twitter probably about an hour ago, and I can't remember who said it, but they said we could quite easily start a meeting at 11:30, and this would just get rid of all the risk of low sun, because you're not going to get that worry at 3:30, well, 4 o'clock. You're not really going to get it. I just think that it's to do it 2 minutes before the off. Not only is it an absolute shambles, because you're splitting screens with one of the most informative handicaps in Cheltenham's calendar, one of them, and I just think it's just it's a shambles. The less said about it, the better, really. But you need to speak about it because you need to mention it.
Something needs to happen here, and look, whether it's starting meetings earlier, there is obviously logistics behind that. If people are coming from across the country, maybe a 11:30 start is quite early, because they'll have to be leaving early. Yeah, that is early, and people who like to have a drink and stuff, that's going to be drinking quite early. But there needs to be something done about this, because they can't be having doled off hurdles minutes before the start. Why isn't there a team? Why can't there be a team that decides this maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes before a race? Because this not only just affects the race in general, it affects betting, it affects people's actions on the race. People are putting money on the race and on these horses. They've apparently got all this information in about how many hurdles are going to be jumped, who's the best jumper. Like, I backed a different kind for the Greatwood today on the pure fact that he's a fantastic jumper. And look, I'm not to say the lack of hurdles is the issue here, but it surely didn't help. And why is it has to be the jockeys decide that minutes before? Why can't there be a team of people who decide this minutes before, Lee? Like, surely there has to be something different going on and something talked about at these high levels in our sport.
Look, I think the sun had been out all day. Like, they knew that was going to be the case. Do you know what I mean?
It happens every year. Happens every year at this meeting.
But like, schedule it in. Say, look, if this is going to be the case, if the sun's going to be out straight after the next race, look, we're taking them out. That's the case. Do you know what I mean? Have it penciled in, have it scheduled in, and say, look, let's get cracking. We're not having delays. Look, everything's a knock-on effect. I didn't know that about racing TV, that they had a split screen. I absolutely hate that.
Don't quote me on that. I saw a tweet saying if anyone watched that on racing TV, but apparently Tony Calvin said there was an issue.
It happens all the time. TV. It happens all the time. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we can't then enjoy it. If we're not at the races, at least then let we enjoy, the big screen and the actual atmosphere of it. When you're splitting screens, like sometimes back in the day, they used to have 3 races on, and it's just madness. They need to be on time. That's why they changed it to like 2:37 and stuff like that. You know what I mean? To try and help with these times. Look, it's been a problem for years. They need to get it sorted. Simple as.
Well, it's not just that as well. You've got the amount of meetings as well. And it's not in this case. I think it was a clash between Irish Racing and Cheltenham. But on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, you've got Fakenham, you've got Carlisle, you've got Ayr. If they're all running at the same time, that's 3 different tracks across Britain that are all being split screen, and no one wants to watch 3 different screens. It's just it's just not. Well, it's not good. It doesn't look good, and it's certainly not good for the sport. So.
No, yeah, it's one of them. Don't quote me on the split screen thing. I don't know. I'm assuming
it's a regular issue.
But it is a regular issue, so it's a wider issue, of course. We'll circle back to the Friday, gents. One of the more impressive performances we saw on the Friday was Hermes Allen winning the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. Harry, this was very good. He quickened up well after the last. He stormed up the hill, and people were waxing lyrical about this lad.
Well, I think you need to give a lot of credit to Harry Cobden here. I seriously do. This was a masterclass from the front. He hit a couple of hurdles. He jumped well on the hole. Bear in mind, it was only his second start. He walked around Stratford, so if you're not counting that, then forget about it, because this is his first proper race, and these were no mugs in behind. I promise you this. Collector's item. John Joe O'Neill, they really like that lad. He was beating behind. We've all been caught. It's a really interesting one because he was slow at his hurdles, but he stayed on. Music Drive again showed consistency, but just gets outpaced at that final bend. And when this is a class horse, Hermes Allen, no doubt about it. I had my doubts about him. I thought he might be a little bit vulnerable to some improvers like Music Drive, Briscoe coming over, but no, I think Hermes Allen. This is a serious graded horse, and people knocking him after the race. Why knock this horse? Because he's just won a grade 2, without seeing a rival bolting home, doing nothing wrong. I think if you come to the festival, I think he's got a massive chance.
Why I don't get how people crab like performances like that. Like they're literally like seeing people slating them. What more could the horse have done? Jumped great. Bounced out from the front. I'd obviously have to step up from winning egg and spoon race, or like 27 length or whatever I won by. But it was an egg and spoon race. Had to step up against them. An Elliott horse and a Mullins horse. What more can the horse do? Like, obviously, look, it's a game of opinions. He said this, she said that. Twitter's obviously great for it. That they love to get stuck into stuff like that. But I don't get how you can grab this horse.
Well, just another one as well. I mean, Paul Nicholls, after the first race, said that Hermes Allen is not one for showing a lot at home. And you can say that, I mean, if this horse is saving his best for the track, we are seeing a potential monster here, because that's only his second start. And I mean, you couldn't have been more impressive, could you really? The way he went up that hill, Ash, it was like he was walking up it. He was flying.
Lads, this was a good performance. You might hate me for some comments I make later, but this was a great performance. Jumped like a bunny, jumped really well. His action over his hurdles was fantastic, really straight, really sort of pronounced action. You could see him taking a chase fence later on in his career really, really well. I thought he did it really well. He can only beat what's there, and Nicholls obviously thinks a lot of him on the track. He instantly highlighted the shallow hurdle. But I have my doubts. Look, I'm not going to... Look, I'd be lying if I sat here and said this horse is incredible. My word, I have no negatives to say. It's just little queries I have. It's not me slating the horse. It's just the fact of what he's beaten. He's beaten Music Drive by 9 lengths. He's won really well. He's beaten Music Drive by 9 lengths, who, in my opinion, wants 3 miles. He wants a longer distance. He's beaten a debutant over hurdles in the We've All Been Caught horse there, and he's beaten Hebrisco, who was well backed. He was also very keen for outs. Like, it was a very good performance. He can only beat what's there, and he has beaten the field by 9 lengths and more. I would just have my queries going into sort of watching him for the rest of the season. I don't think at this current stage, I'm not hyping up as much as some people are. I'm just saying I have my queries. So I think he's a really nice horse. He came back into the winners enclosure, head held high. That's always a positive in my books. But I'd just be sort of wary of where he goes for the rest of the season.
Look, as well, you go to the Challow. There's not many Challow winners go on to win at Cheltenham as well. So he's been aimed at that Challow. Paul Nicholls is a target trainer. He wants to get a good pot. He'll take in that Challow, but then come Cheltenham, look, I'm an American made fan, obviously, of the Ballymore. But there's going to be Gordon Elliott horses, Willie Mullen horses that are yet to come out and yet to show their true colours. So look, I'm not saying he's a festival winner. I could see him winning the Shallow, but look, you couldn't do any more than he done the other day, and I thought he jumped great.
Yeah, I want to make a seamless transition here. I thought Hermes Allen was good. A seamless transition. You've mentioned the Ballymore there. We're gonna come back to Banbridge, because I really want to talk about Banbridge. But this will be one that surprises a lot of people. Gentle Slopes, who won the bumper, the final race there. We were stood there, all journalists, interviewing Milton Harris, just seeing what he has to say about this horse, and he just casually drops into the conversation the Shallow for this horse. He said that this horse is going to go for a maiden or a novice. Over hurdles, he's going straight to hurdles. He's not staying in bumper company, and he thinks he can stay 2.5 or however long the Shallow is, 2 mile 5, quite easily. And he just casually dropped the Shallow into the conversation. It wasn't saying that he's going to win it. It wasn't saying that he's going to definitely run in it. He just said something like the Shallow could be interesting. So he said he wasn't a handicapper. He definitely wasn't a handicapper, and he was a graded horse to go. Harry, I don't know if you saw the race, because I know you were working today, but Gentle Slopes was really impressive under Cobden, and he's beaten some nice horses in there.
No, he quickened. I seen the finish, Ash. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see all the race. As you mentioned, I was at work. But I mean, any horse that flies up that hill has got an engine. And if Milton Harris, he's pretty shrewd himself. So if he's saying he's confident, and listen, his novice hurdlers and his juveniles, they're not one to be messing with. And
his bump horses are incredible. Same connection to Mullenbeg.
You've got Mullenbeg. I mean, Mullenbeg has came out, and you look at the last run. Was it Plumpton? I think Mullenbeg. She absolutely bolted in, And if there's any progression from that horse, just from going up the hill like that, you can see it. Well, he's already described him as a graded horse. I think I'm right in quoting.
He's going to be a graded horse. Yeah.
Yeah. So if he's already saying he's going to be a graded horse, like there's no end to this horse's progression. I think it was a nice performance, but listen, you've got to jump the hurdles, as they say.
Look, Lee, obviously Milton sort of just went back on it, saying it's something like a shallow. A couple of journalists, James Byrne from the Racing Post, just said trainers don't think of these horses just off the think of these races just off the cuff. There's obviously been something that's just been in the back of his mind somewhere. This could be a nice horse over 2.5 for a graded event. He looked quite nice, and it was under Harry Cobden. Milton Harris and Harry Cobden have a fantastic strike record together, and it's a Milton Harris bumper winner. You can't be more impressed.
Look, he's had a couple of winners there in the past couple of days. I thought Harry Cobden gave him a good ride, power packed at the finish. Look, I will give a quick mention to the Sam Thomas horse. I'm unsure of the name. It was a weird name, but cheers. That it was fourth. Stayed on really well. Was out the washing a bit at the bend, and then stayed on well up the hill. So maybe he's one to look out for from that bumper. But yeah, the winner won well enough.
Kate Dory, under Scudamore favourite Sam Thomas, and obviously another bumper win we had this season, as you can see on the bottom of your screen there, Queen's Gamble. Now, I was very sweet on this horse on the live. You remember 3-1, even when Nicky Henderson's Lucia was out of the race, and she fairly bolted up. She's staying in bumpers this season. She's going to the listed Henrietta Knight bumper at Huntington on Peterborough Chase Day. It looks like champion bumper is all systems go after that. Lee, just sticking with you, this was a really nice win, backed up her win from the April meeting last season, and she couldn't have won it any better for Oliver Sherwood.
I thought this was the performance of the weekend, to be honest. I absolutely loved how she went through the race. She was green. The slight dip into the Guinness way. It had a kind of a wonder about there, but look, still got plenty in the tank and absolutely skated home. I love the performance. Going into the race, I did mention on the live, because I actually backed Lucia of Nicky Henderson's. That horse come out, so then I backed Queen's Gamble in the end. I thought it was between the two, but what put us off was Oliver Sherwood's record. I think was 0 from 15 or something like that going into the race. He had one today, one elsewhere, and obviously Queen's Gamble yesterday. So maybe he's just turned the corner, but
he's put you in your box there.
Sorry?
He's put you in your box there. He's going to have 3
winners
in a couple of days.
It's because, look, Nicky went into yesterday with a 40% strike rate. He was on 0%, 0 from 15 in the past fortnight. So it slightly put us off, and it put us towards Nicky Henderson's horse. But I thought it was between the two. They both bolted up the last time. But look, absolutely... as impressive as performance as you could want, really, and 10-1 for the champion bumper though.
Well, that's skinny even in my eyes.
I wouldn't be taking that about her, but look, very impressive.
Look, we've seen some impressive bumper winners. We saw one at the October meeting. The name escapes me currently, Harry, but it's a shame she's not going hurdles. It's probably the right decision. She's only 4. She'll be going on 5. And if she runs the novice race, she'll lose her novice status quite early, I think, this season. So it's bumpers this season. But she was, just very quickly, she was very good. And you can see her going places in the future.
Yeah, well, that's twice she's gone up the hill, as in it was nothing. And it is. If you've never been to Cheltenham, for one, you need to go. 2, you need to admire the hill, because it is, horses just stop up there. Horses just can't get up, and there's no better. They say horses for courses. There's no better course for a horse to be at the top of the level at Cheltenham. It's the pinnacle of racing. And listen, she's done it twice now. Whatever she does this year is a bonus. I said after her first run, I said whatever she does over on the flat, she's going to be. I think she's going to be better over hurdles. You've seen, the name has escaped me now. Who was the? Is it Love Envoy? She kind of strike me as that kind of type of horse that would look better over hurdles. And just if she can stick up the hill and jump a flight, she's going to be competitive at the highest level. And listen, she's proved it for me. Yes, I think she's going to be tough to beat this year. But I've champion Bumper 10-1 Skinny.
Yeah, and just while it's fresh on my mind, school day's over. I think I backed it. I think you backed it, Lee, behind Gentle Slopes for Fergal O'Brien. That goes hurdling after today. He's been over some hurdles back at home schooling. Apparently, he's taken to them very well. So he'll be interesting to watch for Fergal O'Brien. Final piece of news, or the performance we want to talk about, is Banbridge. Now, Queen's Gamble was very good, Lee. Your performance of the weekend. This was my performance of the weekend. I thought he was very good. Let's not mess about here, you know. The time has worked out really well. He's beaten a very, very good yardstick in Tommy's Oscar, rated 156 around Hamilton. He's beaten the 145 rated Soul Pretender by 12 lengths. And it was hands and heels. The stick was never used. He's taken lengths out of his field at the fences, Lee. And I thought he was fantastic here. What do you make of Banbridge for Joseph O'Brien?
Look, he jumped like a buck the first time. And then he had the potential to go and do another great performance. Stay as well. It's definitely not going to go to the Arkle. I would definitely put a line through that for me. I'm quite bullish about that. He'll go trainers. He could even go up to the top 3 mile. But look, it was Arkle in its name, but none of these are Arkle contenders for me. Like, look, it was a good performance. Jumped well again. Tommy's Oscar. I think you tried to get me down a rabbit hole there with saying that.
Yeah. I think that was Pete, if I remember correctly.
I think it was Pete who said he's just a handicapper. Look, he's a Mr. Fisher. That's what he is. Tommy's Oscar. He's only like a grade 2 horse. He's not be winning grade 1s. And Penton Hills, look, he banked one at the top, and that was his party over. It was an impressive performance, but I don't know what he's beat, to be honest.
I think he's beaten some fair horses there. Like Tommy's Oscar was very good over hurdles, and he travelled really well into the race, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I haven't watched the race back as such.
Sorry, Ash. I was just going to say one who did travel well was Glory and Fortune.
Oh, but you ruined my whole.
It was just. I'm a really big fan of the horse, and I've liked them all last season. Me and you, Ash, backed them for the Betfair hurdle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And look, it didn't take the chase in first time, but it actually travelled like a
like jumped really well this time.
Was coming into contention, and it had run second to that Equinox Fizz, I think it was. Was it a second or third in the Welsh champion? And then it's come here. Look, jumped a lot better for second time round in chasing, and maybe one to watch out for. But look, nothing taken away from the winner. I just don't see it as a festival winner.
Bold there, Harry. Obviously, Glory and Fortune there was going to be a horse you want to talk about. Absolutely, I'm just watching it right now. Absolutely thundered through the second last. I'm surprised he even got his legs through, let alone fell after a couple of strides. You know, that was a good performance. But Banbridge, never touched by JJ Slevin there. Mustard ride from him. Never used the stick once, and it's I thought a very good win.
It was a spit image of his chasing debut. It was foot perfect. He didn't see a rival, and he jumped them into submission. Tommy's Oscar is an out-and-out 2 miler. Don't forget that. He's not short for speed. He's rated 156, so he's a solid horse. And Banbridge just made mince work of him, and he's going to be even better over those intermediate trips. Glory and Fortune, I'll touch on that horse because off 143, that horse will be winning a big pot. I promise. Every single person watching this race, he will be winning a big pot this year because, listen, he came there absolutely tanking. Regardless if he'd have won, he's already clocked an RPR of 152. That's probably I think that's one of his best. I think that's his best since the Cheltenham, the champion hurdle. And listen, he's off 143. If he can brush his jumping up, because don't get me wrong, he did smash a few. He did, and you can't do that in those competitive handicaps if he does go down there. But listen, I think off 143, he's going to be dangerous.
What about the strong run Grand Annual?
Then off 143 off in the Grand Annual, there's going to be something in there lurking, isn't there?
Yeah, there will be, but look, you already done it in the Betfair hurdle, so.
Yeah, no, you're right. Obviously,
I did have him down as a handicap. He's not going to be winning them grade 1 pots, is he?
No, he's not. You're right, and he needs. I think he's one of those horses that you need things to go right with. Everything needs to go right on the day. Listen, in the Betfair, he was held up in the rear. He just tanked through the race. I think he smashed the last in that race as well. You can't smash the last over a fence because you're going to end up on your arse basically. And Stan Shepherd ended up on his arse. The horse didn't, but yeah, he's off 143s. He's definitely dangerous.
No, I could see Banbridge getting sort of a nice mark there at 160. So I would put him into this graded company. I think he's an absolute star, and I wouldn't be sure about his distance now. Like I was speaking to JJ Slevin there, and he was saying he has the gears for 2, and he really does have the gears for 2.5. So like, if you're interested,
John Bond will eat him. John Bond will eat him.
Steady. Oh, just because you didn't get paid out because you backed on firm. You're a bit sour, aren't you?
You're sad.
I think
why, Denise? Denise, just help us all out. Denise, just pay us out.
She won't. No, I think 2.5 probably more likely. I'd say Tommy Tosca. You wouldn't be for hard pressed to put him over 2.5. I also think Stole Pretender. Be interesting to see what the handicapper gives him, but he looks to me
solid
like
race.
Solid race, and they went from the front just to try and sort of test the sort of staying capacity of the field, and I'd like to see him go up in trip maybe sort of like 2, maybe 2.5. Could be a nice handicap in there for him. See what the handicapper does. We'll move on, gentlemen. We'll just finish up.
Sorry, boys. Ash,
the Milton horse.
No, I will mention the Milton horse, but I've got even better news, Ash.
Oh no!
So on Friday, I was a little bit.
Yeah, you had a few, hadn't you?
Had a few. By the way, with the help from Ash, we were having some a nice little.
No, I didn't have any. I stood next to you. I was working. I had none.
But I lost my wallet on Friday, and I've just had a message from the train conductor at West Midlands Railway, and they have found my wallet. So Sunday is the best day of the world. I'm buzzing, and I'm going to tell you all a horse right now. Listen.
Oh no, he's on a high. He's going to tell us it's going to win a gold cup.
I'm going to tell you because I'm full of confidence to this whole weekend. The winner of the juvenile hurdle at the Aintree Festival won the Triumph Trial in the 12:35 yesterday. Script writer Milton Harris won the race last year with Night Salute. We'll go to Doncaster next time out. We'll win that. We'll go to Aintree and we'll win that. So listen, GSI, get stuck in. Script writer is the next best thing.
Oh no! I'd like to say on behalf of Only Fools of Horses, we do not agree with Harry's comments here. Lee, yourself, horses?
Clip this.
Any horses, Lee?
The third horse against him is Alan. Is it We've All Been Caught? Is it?
Yes, I agree with this one. I agree with this.
I think that one stayed on from a different parish, as they say. So stayed on well up the hill. Maybe it's an Albert Bartlett type, and. That was its first run over hurdles, and powered on up past that Habrisco of Willie Mullins and stuff. Stayed on well. So one to watch out for, I would have said.
Yeah, I'll throw into the mix Ghana Paffy, who was second to Nube Negra. I actually backed this horse for the race. I'll hold my hands up here because I was still next to Patrick Neville. I don't know if they aired it on ITV. Rishi Prasad asked him, what's your fancy for the race? And he said, to win it. We've had a go. But be in all seriousness now, I actually fancy this horse for a handicap it was entered for. I can't remember whether it's 2 miles or 2.5 mile handicap chase, but he was entered for one of them. I fancied him, and I saw that Gavin Sheehan was dropped up for this race from an early stage. So they're obviously going to always go for this. I thought he put in a cracking race behind Nube Negra. I know Nube Negra didn't really get out of maybe third gear here, and it's a horse we haven't touched on, but this horse will probably stay fresh. The only race it could go to is the Desert Orchid. If not, he'll be safe for the Champion Chase. No Tingle Creek or Clarence House. I thought he ran a banger behind Nube Negra in it. He probably won't be put up anything really for that race, and I could see him going dangerous in a nice little 2 mile handicap. I thought he trailed really well.
Look, you have to think this horse is that then already been second in that grade 2 now, just for being entered in the race. The 2 in behind Nube Negra, because all the horses haven't went, and because Edward Stone's been pulled out, they've now got a second and a third in a grade 2, picking up a load of prize money. Look, you need to take your chances. If you're not in it, you can't win it. Simple as. Yeah,
21 grand to the second there. So the connections have done well for Patrick Neville's kind of Paffy there. So I'll throw that into the mix of the horse I'd like to see going for the rest of the season. But that's the first Only Fools Love Horses review over and done with. Harry is in better form because he's not hungover. I've just come from the races, had a Chinese, and Lee banged in the winners. Hope you all enjoyed. We'll be doing this hopefully weekly. And of course, we've got our Tuesday video to come up. It'll be around the same time on Tuesday. It'll be 7:30 or 7:45. So be live on YouTube, previewing the action to come. It's Betfair Chase Day, lads. It'll be good to watch.
I think
is it Betfair Chase? I might
Betfair Chase. Applutard's in there, and just a quick mention: we're going to have another competition from Racing Tees, and it is the Applutard T-shirt this time, but it looks cracking. I've just seen a picture of it, so
yeah.
I think my mate Bristol's running in there.
No,
he's in good form. I spoke to Nigel. He's in good form.
Yes, come on, the old boy, 11 years old. Imagine if he rocks up and wins this. The plum faces on everyone, and I would love it if Bristol Dam High won this race again.
You'd love it, but he's not going to. That's the thing.
It'd be too quick. It'd be too quick.
If you want to hear more of our thoughts, make sure to tune in on Tuesday. This video is going to be published onto YouTube to watch again. If it's not there on the videos or the upload section for a couple hours, just scroll across to the live section. It will be on the uploads bit after a couple hours. It just YouTube takes its time to make sure it gets there. If you did enjoy, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow our Twitters. They should be there somewhere, or maybe I've just done that wrong. The Twitters are somewhere on there. A7's Journo, HarryBeard7, Racing Lee 1, and do enjoy. Have a good weekend and Betfair Chase Week, ladies and gentlemen.
And thank you for all the messages as well.
Yes, thank you for the feedback. Lovely.
Yeah.